So we're here in our notes. So on Friday, what we discussed is we talked about the central measures of tendency, all right, which are our mean, median, mode. So whenever I'm doing data, all right, one of the things that I'll always give you back from a test, I'm always going to give you what the mean was for the three classes together. That's the middle, all right? That way you're kind of comparing how I'm doing, all that kind of stuff. Now, when I'm looking at test grades, I look at some other measures as well. One of the things I'm going to look at is the measure of dispersion, all right? What is dispersion?
It's how like spread apart.
How spread out there, or how spread out the data is, all right? What is the spread of it? Now, you know one measure of dispersion a long time ago, and you found the range when you first learned about mean, median, mode, and did some of that. You talked about range. How do I find range?
Don't you take like the lowest number and the highest number?
Highest number minus the lowest number. That's correct. So I'm going to take the high minus the low. All right? Now, on the last test from last week, all right, I had a high value of like 105. I had a low value like 30. So does the range tell me a lot about the data?
It's dispersed.
It's dispersed. It's like, it's probably more dispersed than I want it to be. All right?
Like two outliers, which would like really mess up everything.
Yeah, you could have two outliers, because like if you think about maybe the two people that are there, the one that made a 105 and the one that made a 30, I don't know what my teaching really impacted them, all right? The one that made a 105 could do a lot of this on their own, all right? The one that made the 30 may not even been tried at all right? So that doesn't really tell me as a teacher how well we got it. So range is not a great number sometimes, okay? It's good to know, all right? But sometimes it doesn't tell me enough information, all right? Now, we talked about this on Friday, that if I have the data and I find the middle of the data, what's the middle of the data called?
Median.
That's the median, all right? We also refer to it as Q2, all right? The median is also Q2. Now, what I'm going to do in this little model here is I'm going to go find the quartiles. I'm going to separate this into 4 different parts. Okay? Yeah, some of you have seen this before. Okay? And so I'm going to go find this right here. That's going to be quartile 1. The way that I find quartile 1 is I do the median of the median. So I find the middle number, and then I find the middle number again. All right? So I half it and I half it again, so to speak. Same thing over here. To find Q3,
This is geometry.
I'm going to find the median of the median. Yes, you did some of this in geometry a couple years ago. Okay? Now, what this does is this breaks the data into like equal parts, 25%. All right? And so we have another range that we want to find. The other range that we're wanting to find is the IQR. IQR is the interquartile range. Okay? This formula right here is on your formula page. IQR is Q3 minus Q1. Okay? And so I can find this really quickly. Now, one other thing about this, we want to look and we want to be able to find an outlier. Some of us look at something and go, oh, that's an outlier just because it looks like it's an outlier, but we need a little bit more mathematical reasoning behind it. And the way that we find that is we're going to take the IQR and we will multiply it by 1.5. Okay? So we'll take the IQR, we'll multiply it by 1.5, and we'll look and see how that compares to Q3 and Q1. So I'm going to show you a little bit more in detail what that looks like here in a second. But we got to multiply by 1.5, and then we can find it. Okay? Now, if you flip the packet over, we can take and we can use that same little diagram that I gave you. Got a lot of little side conversations. All right. We can take this same little diagram and we can make a box plot or a box and whiskers plot. All right. It's a 5 statistical summary. So when we draw this, our Q2 is in the middle. Our Q3 is the right edge of the box. our Q1 is the left edge of the box. And then we have these whiskers that are our high and our low. Yep. And so we can find all these little pieces here. Now, when we draw this box plot or this box and whiskers plot, all right, we have to kind of understand how the data is grouped here, all right? And so there's a lot of times I'm going to find the IQR, and the IQR is going to be the left edge of the box and the right edge of the box, and I'm subtracting that. So I'm looking at the middle 50% of the data. I'm not looking at the high highs, I'm not looking at the low lows, I'm looking at the middle grouping of students, all right? So on that, if I looked and I saw, okay, how close were those students to my mean, all right? Were they pretty tight, were they pretty close to that? That kind of gives me a good understanding of what the test looks like. If it's a good test or if I need to do something with it, all right? This whisker is worth 25% of the data. This side of the box is worth 25% of the data. That one's worth 25%, and this one is 25%. Okay? So each of those is worth 25% of the data. Okay? So let's say this. Let's say I have 80 IB students. Okay? 80 IB students. How many students would be represented on this whisker right here? 20, because that's a fourth of the data. All right? 20 there, 20 students in this one, 20 students there, 20 students there. So that's how that would be grouped. Now, if I don't tell you how many students total there are, the best you could do is tell me the percentages. 25%, 50%, whatever the case may be. Okay? Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to take that and we're going to go build a box plot from the data that we have here at the bottom of the page. Okay? All right. On this one, it asked me to do a couple things. It asked me to find the range, the median, the lower quartile, the upper quartile, and the interquartile range for this set of scores. Okay? So let's start. It asked me to find the range.
The highest versus the
All right. The high minus the low. That's correct. The highest value is 100. The lowest value is 18. And the 82 is the range. Okay? So the range is 82. All right? The next, it asked me to find the median. Did we find the median on Friday? We did a lot of that work. Same thing. All right? So, not from this one right here, but it's a new set, but it's the same idea. All right? So how do we find the median from here? What do you like about the numbers? They're in order. That's good. And so if I count them, I believe there are 15, which means I need 7 on the left, 7 on the right, and there would be 1 left over in the middle. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there is my median.
That was one away from something awesome.
All right. Now, I have the median there. Now, it asked me to go find the lower quartile, which is Q1, and the upper quartile, which is Q3. Okay? Now, since I've identified this as the median, then I'm going to look at the numbers over here, and I'm going to find the middle number over there. There are 7 numbers, so I have 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, so 52 is my middle number there. That is Q1. Which makes Q3 equal to what? 87. That is correct. Because got 3 on that side, 3 on that side. 87 would be Q3. Okay? Now can I find the interquartile range? Yeah, I'm going to subtract it. So IQR is Q3 minus Q1, which would be 87 minus 52, which is 35. Okay? Before I go on, questions about how we find those pieces there? Good? Now, it says show that data in a box and whiskers plot. So I'm going to take those values and I'm going to go put them on my box and whiskers plot. So if I go draw a box, okay? What number is going to go on the left-hand edge of the box?
87.
18?
52.
Oh.
52 is going to go on the left, and the other one is 87. So that's where that's going to go there. So 52, 87 will go there. If I want a super accurate graph, I might give you a grid paper or whatever, or graph paper. That way you can graph it a little bit easier. Okay? Now, 68 is going to go in the middle. All right? Now, I want to try to draw this fairly accurate. And so is 68 going to go in a dead center? No. So how close is 68 to 52?
Not very.
16.
16, it's off by 16. How close is 68 to 87? 19. So there's a bigger gap from 67 than it is from 52. That make sense? So it's not going to be in the middle. It's going to be slightly off there. Okay? It may not be quite as far as I've drawn, but I'm showing that it's skewed a little bit there. It's not quite in the center.
Skewed left or skewed right?
We'll talk about that here in a second.
You,
Okay? All right. Now,
I have no idea.
on this, the two whiskers. The whisker over here is a little bit shorter because where's it going to? 100. Okay? The whisker on the left is a little bit longer because it's going to where?
18.
It's going to 18. Because the two whiskers are my high and my low. Okay? Everybody okay with the 5 statistical summary and the box of whiskers? Okay? Now, let's discuss. Is there skew? Is this nice and symmetric graph? It's not. It looks skewed. All right. Which way did it get pulled? It got pulled left. All right. Looks like it's got a horizontal stretch going left. So this is a negative skew or it is a left skew is what we would call that. All right. Now, think about it. What's causing that skew?
The tail.
The 18. You score 18 on a grade, that's going to bring your grade down. It's going to skew your grade in a downward direction. All right? Just like those zeros, if you have a 0 in the grade book, all right, it really skews your grade downward. All right? Once you get that 0 replaced, then it goes back up and looks a little bit more symmetric. All right? But that's what's going on. Okay? It's skewed left or skewed negatively.
So the skewed right is positive?
Yes. Just think about a number line. Where's your positives? On the right. Where's your negatives? On the left. So
bar graph, if there's like
same thing.
numbers to the right.
Yeah. If it's more boxes to one side. Okay. All right. Now, I want to do this same problem right here. But we're going to our calculator. We're going to do this in the calculator. So grab the calculator. All right. And I'm going to go on. I'm going to go new. And no, I'm not going to save this. All right. I need a few of you to be on task, please. All right. So I'm going to go to my list and spreadsheets. Remember, you have to go label this one as something. I'm going to label it as X. All right. And then I'm going to go down here and I'll put those 15 numbers in, starting with 18. All right. 18, 27. I'm going to continue on. Let you do that. All right. I think we're close. Got those in. Now, where did we go on Friday? We went and did a lot of things, calculations in the calculator that did a lot for me. So I'm going to go Control Doc. I'm going to go to just add a calculator. I'm going to go to Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, and the one variable statistic. So statistics, stat calculations, one variable, statistics. How many lists do I have? Just one. That list name is X. The frequency of one, meaning I only have one of each one of them. All right? And so if I hit enter, then I get these values. Now, I'm not scrolling them back up. I'm not going to go find my mean on this one because it's not asking about mean. But look what I have here. I've got my minimum, which is the whisker. I've got Q1. I've got the median, which is Q2. I've got Q3, and I've got the max. So I have my 5 numbers that I could put on my box and whiskers diagram. Okay? Now, in addition to this, I'm going to show you something else. All right? So if I were to go Control Doc, so I'm adding a page, I'm going to go add data and statistics. Okay? Now I can't really assign 2 variables here, right? I can only assign 1 variable because that's all I have. So I'm going to go assign the X to there. Technically, is that like my histogram? Yeah. Because each one of them is only worth 1, right? So that's basically my histogram right there. I don't want a histogram, I want a box plot, okay? So if I go menu, and it says plot type, and I want to go box plot, then it builds my box plot for me, okay? So that's very similar to what we drew a while ago. Now, if you want to know the values on the box plot, go to menu, go to analyze, and it says, I want a graph trace. It's not a graph, but it's a diagram, so I'm going to trace it, all right? That one's 18. If you use your right arrow, it jumps to the next one, 52, jumps to the next one. Sorry, we jumped too far. And to the next one, and then to the last one. So there's another way that you could do that, okay? If you noticed when we went to box plot, you could say histogram. It's not going to work real well here because it's grouping them a little bit. It's creating a group frequency table. So histograms work better when I have the 2 columns. When I have an X and I have a frequency column, all right, then the histogram would be a little bit better. That's not correct because I know I only have each one of them once. None of them are repeated, so I shouldn't see 2 there. So it's starting to try to group it. It's what it's trying to do. Okay? I can change some settings and stuff like that, make it do right, but I'm not worried about that right now. Okay? Now, let's go back to our notes. There was one last thing that we haven't done here. All right? We haven't answered question C. Check if 18 is an outlier. All right? It seems like an outlier, right? It seems really far off, but it statistically isn't an outlier. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do 1.5 and we're going to multiply it by IQR. What was our IQR? 35. So we're going to multiply by 35. When I multiply that, I get 52 and a half. Okay? So this is what it means. 52 and a half is an allowable distance away from each edge of the box. So I'm going to go this edge of the box and I'm going to go down 52 and a half. I'm going to go to this edge of the box and I'm going to go up 52 and a half. Anything outside of that would be an outlier. Well, if I go 52 minus 52 and a half, what is that? Negative 0.5. So anything smaller than negative 0.5 would be an outlier. Can you really do that on a test? It's pretty difficult to make a negative number on a test. All right. So is this 18 an outlier? No, it falls within the range.
Or
All right?
if you spell your name incorrectly.
Yeah. If you spell your name incorrectly, that wouldn't be good. All right. If I go this way, I believe that's 139 and a half. So if you scored, it's pretty tough to do there as well. If you scored bigger than that. Now, what would cause this to change? If my 50% of my data was tighter together, if my IQR was a little bit smaller, then my outliers would come in a little bit as well. All right, because my IQR wouldn't be as big, and so I wouldn't go out quite as far. Okay. Find a little blank spot, maybe at the bottom of that page. I wouldn't go to the other side because we're going to use that here in a second. But I want to do something else real quick. Write these 8 numbers down. Okay? Okay, just in a little blank spot. All right? I'm just adding this one in. Okay? So let's do this. What is my median?
Oh no, 5 and 7.
6.
12, 2, 6.
6 is the median. Okay? So there are 8 numbers. So there are 4 on this side, 4 on this side, so I've got to go in the middle of them. The middle number between 5 and 7 is 6. That's my median. Okay? What is my Q3? Or Q1, excuse me. 2.5. That's right there. There's 4 numbers. I go 2 and 2, so I got to go in the middle of them. So Q1 is 2.5. Q3, 9.5. I got to go in the middle of those. How far apart are 8 and 11? 3. So go 1.5 and 1.5 either way. So it's easier to add 1.5 to the 8, in my opinion. So Q3 is 9.5. Now, let me ask a question. Are any of these numbers right here in my data set?
No.
They're not in my data set. They're statistics. Sometimes they'll show up in the data set, sometimes they won't. All right? But this is a really unique data set with 8 of them in it where I don't really have the median. It's a middle number, or it's an average. I don't have the Q1, I don't have the Q3. All right? They're averages of my data. Okay? Everybody good there? Yes, ma'am. All right? Now, that's what's on your homework tonight, box and whiskers, okay? But I wanna start this next problem, and then we'll continue it tomorrow, all right? Just kind of trying to gain a little time because I won't see you guys on Wednesday, all right? And so the next one is a cumulative frequency diagram. Sometimes it's referred to as an S-curve, okay? So this next little piece that we're going to do is a cumulative frequency diagram. Sometimes it's referred to as an S-curve. So we were able to show our data and statistics in a box plot a while ago. Now we're going to show it a little bit differently here. Okay? Now, when I do this, to calculate the cumulative frequency, all right, add up all the frequencies of the data as you go along. All right? So my table right here, they've given me this table. I'm going to change this table a little bit as I go. All right? So this first one is going to be everything less than 5, which is the 3. So the first line on my table doesn't really change. Okay, by the way, if I ask you to create one of these, you're going to have to build a new table first, and then you can go create it. All right? The next one, I'm going to take these 2 line items and I'm going to add them together. So I'm going to take the 3 and the 5, and that's going to be 8. And what I'm going to say is that's everything less than 10. So everything less than 5 is 3. Everything less than 10 is 8. My next one is going to be everything less than 15, which is going to be all 3 of these added together, which is 16. Everything less than 20 would be 26, because all I'm doing is adding a 10. Everything less than 25 is going to be 38, because I'm adding the 12. Less than 30, and less than 35. So that goes to 45, and this goes to 50. What is significant about 50?
That's how many batteries we have.
That's the number of batteries. I didn't let you read this beforehand, jumped into it, sorry. But there are 50 batteries that were tested to see how long they lasted. There was my group frequency, and now I have created a cumulative frequency chart, okay? So I'm adding up as I'm going along, all right? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go take this diagram right here, and I'm gonna go build a graph off of it, okay? So on that graph, I'm going to put the time down here. I'm going to put the frequency on this side over here. I'm going to go, this is 5, this is 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. Okay? So now here's how this works. Everything less than 5, there's going to be 3 batteries that are less than 5. So I'm going to put a point right here at 5, and it's going to be 3. Okay? On the next one, everything less than 10 is going to be 8 batteries. So everything less than 10 would be 8. By the way, I'm just doing a sketch right now. If I really wanted an accurate diagram, then I would give you a like graph paper, all right, where we could do that a little bit easier, okay? 15, everything less than 15 would be 16 batteries. Everything less than 20 would be 26 batteries. Everything less than 25 would be 38. Then I've got 40, and then I have 50. Okay? If I were to connect these, what does the shape of that graph look like?
Low key in it.
And it looks a little bit like an S, right? That's where it gets the name S curve. Okay? So it's going to create an S curve. Now, if you draw a cumulative frequency diagram and you use this, it's going to go up and it's going to go back down, and that's not going to be correct. Right? It's a cumulative. It's building as it's going. So it's going to continue to get bigger. Now, I'm going to answer one more question here. We're going to be done. Okay? It says find the median. So find the middle number here. Okay? Find the median. Well, how many batteries did I test? 50. What would be the middle number? 25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 25. I'd count up to where 25 is. And I would run that across. And I would run that down. And wherever it hits here is going to be my median. Okay? So I'll run it across and I'll run it down. I know it's going to be a little bit less than 20 because 26 batteries was 20. Alright? So 25 batteries is going to be a little bit less than 20. So I'd probably say 19 hours. 19 hours would be my median time. We're going to do more with this tomorrow. I just kind of introduced it, got a little bit going on it. We'll answer some more questions. We'll do another problem. This is not on your homework tonight. Your homework tonight is finding the, just you keep that. Your homework tonight is finding the IQR, the Q1, Q3, and doing a box and whisker plot. On page 297 and 300, it says 1 through 6 on both of those. I'd like for you to do the odds. So 135, 135. Okay? Do the odds on both of those.
On page 297 and 300.
That's correct.